What up, besties? Welcome to The Real Her, the unfiltered podcast for ambitious, funny women who want it all. Real relationships, real success, and a real life they actually love. I'm your host, Christina Fusco, real estate investor, entrepreneur, and your new hype woman in life, love, and business. Each week, we're flipping the script on traditional business podcasts and focusing on the women behind the business. We're here to laugh, we're here to cry, and most importantly, we're here to dominate together. So go ahead, pour that favorite beverage, let your hair down, and let's get ready to unlock the real her. Okay. We are in the freaking studio. Yay. I'm excited to be sitting with you.
So excited to actually be here. I feel like
we had to transition to the studio because we were just talking so much that I was like, I don't want to miss anything that we could talk about here on the podcast, even though we know like what we're gonna accomplish. But I'm just really happy to have you with me today. So Stephanie Arapian, let me give you the official warm welcome to the Real Her podcast.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you for
I'm
being
so
here.
proud of you for doing this, and I can't wait to see where this goes.
Oh my God, everyone's been so nice. Everyone's come and sat down, and I'm like, thank you for being here, and immediately gets put back onto me. I'm like,
because this is an amazing opportunity. And I feel like this vibe is something that like we really need to see more of right now. And I'm so grateful that somebody like you is doing it and bringing in the pink and glitter and like owning it unapologetically. Yeah.
It's so funny. I never thought I would be like a pink gal. And now that I'm here, I'm all in.
I feel like sometimes when you have to be more like stronger, you have to reject the femininity.
Yes.
And that like there's a reclamation of like taking pink back.
I think you're so right about that. I've heard this pink theory where it's like when a woman has healed, she, like you said, reclaims pink and welcomes pink back into her life. And I actually really feel like that is my journey because I feel like I was always, like you said, I got to be strong. I can't lean into that. I'm leaning into the blacks. I'm leaning into the neutrals. And then it just kind of clicked where I was like, I like the way pink makes me feel. I like it on my skin tone when I wear, whatever it was. I was just kind of like, why have I been rejecting this? Anyways, it just makes me want to embrace the pink and I'm really loving it. But my friends were like, okay, this is really cool. You're starting this thing. It's very real. It's very raw. And they're like, but you're going for pink? Is that you? Because they're like, when I think of you, I don't really think of pink. And I was like, I know, but you know what? It's okay to reinvent yourself a little bit. And this is my new era that I'm stepping into. And this feels like the right color, And
you're not married to it forever. You can just experiment with this for now and be like, I love it now. Who knows what'll happen?
I know. Even in my branding, I did a little bit of like dark reds too. Cause I was like, just in case, the vibe changes a little bit, we can introduce reds more. And I'm more happy to just be able to like show this to people and to bring people into this space and have a real space. We were talking a little bit before we started about just the intentionality behind projects and why it makes sense maybe for me to have done video or maybe for you on different projects not to do video or whatever it might be. And it just, it's really fun seeing this come to life and like sitting here with you. I'm just like, yeah,
you're doing it.
This feels right. We're doing it. We are doing it.
Yes, we are.
And I'm really excited to sit down with you today for many reasons. But I think the first one and the most important one is you were my first like biz bestie, I'm going to call it.
Yeah. I can agree with that. I would say that you were probably my first biz bestie as well. Because for me, there was a separation between what I was doing as like an actor, writer, producer, as a filmmaker, and this other area that I feel like I didn't know. And I was diving in with all of my research that I had put in behind me, but without really knowing what I was getting into at the same time, like just diving into the deep end, which frankly, I do a lot of. Like I jump in without knowing how and then figuring out the how. And that's like, I think a running theme for a lot of your guests.
Absolutely.
And a lot of women entrepreneurs is having the idea, understanding its possibilities and believing in it so strongly that you're just going to like, you know what? I will figure out the how. I'm smart enough. I will get there. It's going to be work. And I'm not afraid of that.
Right.
I'm just going to try it.
Right.
And you were like the first person that I really clicked with and really was like, oh, somebody else who gets it, who's we're on the same zone. We're both like, we have like really parallel journeys.
We've had very parallel journeys.
Yeah. With our businesses and with reinvention and like, I guess rebranding. but taking new steps and up leveling and continually growing. And I love that for both of us. I think this is awesome.
Seriously. So we'll dive into it because we met through a mastermind that helped us to start the businesses that we started.
Yes.
Before we jump into that, tell us a little bit about you, just like your background. And because I'm curious, because you are a creative and your business is acting and producing and it's all these very creative energies. So I'm curious about kind of who you were and then like what brought you to signing up for that mastermind.
Ooh, I feel like that's like the journey of Stephanie in the 3,000 miles.
I was going to say, take it with the 10,000 foot. You don't have to give us the details today, but
yeah. Or maybe 25,000 miles is more accurate.
That's fine.
Well, I grew up in Maryland. I went to school up in New England. I've traveled as far south down to Florida for internships, but I was pretty much East Coast based for a very, very long time. And I ended up exploring the world. I was very interested in pursuing acting, but did not feel confident enough to become a starving artist, which I now completely disagree with that phrase. But I wasn't comfortable enough to like go figure it out on my own at 21, 22 in New York, and felt like I wasn't ready. So I was kind of plodding around, finding other things to do and finding ways that I could keep active in acting. But a friend of mine sent me an airmail postcard from Japan. And she was explaining what she was doing as an English teacher and traveling and like living with a host family in Japan. And I was like, this is amazing. That's so cool. I wish I could do that. Wait a minute. Why can't I do that? Oh, why don't I do that? Right. And that started this whole journey of me moving to China and living there for a year and a half, and then moving to Germany and living there for like 3 years. And while I was teaching English to many different people, I then in Germany was working with theater groups that were performing expat theater or English speaking theater for German audiences. And I was with like 2-3 different groups. And that kind of got me back into like, I love teaching. And in some ways, teaching is performing. You're standing in front of people and telling a story and hoping that you impart information.
Yeah.
I was getting a little burned out in the teaching, and I was falling more in love with acting because I felt I was coming full circle after 5 years. And I then went to England to study acting and finally say like, I want to be an actor. I really want it. I wanted to own that person, that who I was and what I wanted to do more. And I went through a 2-year amazing program in London that I earned my MFA. And then I worked for another couple of years in England and figured out what the London theater scene was like and how interesting it was to be an American at the time, trying to make a career. And then realized my love of film and television, and then moved to Los Angeles. And like many people in film and television who want to be actors, I moved into the food service industry. And, there's a reason why. There's such a great industry for many reasons. It's also very difficult and trying and tests you in so many ways for many reasons. And after a point, I'd made it to being a bartender at a hotel, but I was trying to find a way to get out of the bar and have more passive income. And I came across the leader of the mastermind, and I feel like I signed up in spite of him.
I agree. I look back and I'm like, I can't believe I gave this person my money.
It feels so cringe.
He's like a ridiculous human being.
Over the top and so real about it though.
But so owns it.
And so owns it. And is such a character.
That is so funny.
And you're like, these people really exist. You think they don't, and they're made up in their fiction. No, they're real.
No.
And so I feel like I signed up in spite of him simply because what he was saying made a lot of sense.
100%.
The business aspect of, oh, I can start this when I don't actually own any property. I can do this when I don't actually have any capital to get started. Like I'm still basically hand to mouth, sustainable, like living month to month. After doing a lot of research, I was able to be like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to clean up my act. And then I said yes to starting this business, as the intention was I will be able to leave the bar job, what I call the W-2 thrival job, and be able to run this, but it'll be mostly hands off. It'll be mostly hands off. And then I'll have a lot more time to focus on acting and maybe produce some more projects and really dig into maybe doing some more writing. And that's kind of how I got started on that. Whether that actually succeeded was not exactly how I meant it to do, but things change.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think so many people learn about real estate as a passive avenue, which it absolutely can be.
It can be. It can be.
It can be. It just depends on the type that you choose.
Yes.
And, you know, we won't go into the full details of it, but what you and I both signed on to do and start were midterm rental arbitrage businesses, which for anyone who doesn't know what that is, Stephanie kind of alluded at it, but you essentially run a real estate business. You essentially lease properties from homeowners and you then sign that long-term lease as the leasee and you then furnish that property, you manage it, and you rent it to other clients on the end.
Yes.
So it's a great way and great methodology to get into real estate if you're somebody who can't afford, right, to buy property, which we were both living in LA. It's not the easiest thing to do. So it's a great avenue of that element, right? If you can't afford to buy a property. And it's also a great cash flow element because real estate can be used as two really powerful vehicles, building wealth through appreciation and equity or building cash flow, right, through a method like what we chose.
Yes.
And so I totally understand that where you're an actor, you're working in the bar and service industry, your hours are crazy. Why not try to almost have that exit plan? Right. And I think it actually aligns really with where I was too. I was working a W-2, really wanted to start on an entrepreneurial journey, a real estate journey. Was 26 years old, couldn't afford it, whatever. And so I was with you where I was like, okay, this particular thing seems like a cash flow queen method, right? To help me start building that, get my way into real estate, become a business owner. And again, start building that exit plan essentially from the W-2. So I love that we both, with different industries and different, you know, timing and reasons for joined it with that same goal.
Yes, had the same intention, had the same motivation for building it. And it forced me to grow and level up in ways I did not even conceive of at the time.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I almost went nuts that first summer.
Totally.
Because I was so driven and I'm like, all right, this is going to work for me. I believed in it 110% and wholeheartedly that I was like working my job and I was like all day Saturday, all day Sunday. I was like packing my lunch because I was also on a fitness program of like a whole phase of life where I was getting healthier. And I was like, okay, so I'm pre-making all lunches and everything and doing a lot of food prep for the first time in my life that summer. And I was like, all right, so we're going to be out doing this. And I was driving all over everywhere in LA. Like you understand how large Los Angeles County is. It's ridiculous.
Your properties were pretty far.
And they were pretty far because I live close to just outside Santa Monica. And I was going all the way east. I was going all the way north. I was going to like Woodland Hills. I was going to almost Pomona. I was going pretty far south. You were everywhere. And I would be out on the road with my little lunch bags, like all day Saturday, all day Sunday, trying to get those first yeses. And then once it did, then I felt like I got drop kicked into all the things. Yeah, we could talk more about like the challenges and overcoming, but
absolutely.
So many.
But just getting started. And I think like, you know, I think looking back, I'm so happy for myself that I did that mastermind group, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Whatever good, bad, ugly, you know, maybe it had or didn't have, but the
like
support.
every group that you get together with lots of people is going to have some kind of drama, right? There's always going to be personalities and there's going to be drama. But for the most part, it was really the support group that was amazing. It's where I met you. It's where I met a couple other people who were also level-headed and looking at this as a cash flow business and how they can, their entry point into real estate. And like having that kind of mentorship was really important.
Now, had you had mentorships like that prior? Obviously, I know you like were in acting and more on that side, because for me, this was the first time I bet on myself, right? And physically put money into something, physically handed someone a check and was like, you know, help me do this thing. Was that your first experience as well? Or
not exactly, but it was on this level of something it was so outside of my zone.
Yeah.
I had bet on myself actually when I first moved out to LA. Like I paid, now looking back at it, kind of a crazy amount of money to do an agent manager showcase in Los Angeles while I was still living in England. And that was not cheap. And then I moved out here, not necessarily on that basis, but because of that. And I've made like financial investments in myself where I'm like, I don't know that it's very specific to creatives, but I feel like creatives are often reinvesting in themselves continually with no payback. There's no return on it unless it's your own development and your own confidence that you are ready. The short film projects that I've done, the producing projects that I've done have been all self-funded. I've never done crowdfunding, and I have yet to go after investors. That's kind of my next new thing. So that has been like handing over a large, scary paycheck. It was not new. These numbers were new.
Yeah.
And I had coaching, and it did kind of veer a lot into, it was nominally acting coaching, but overall it was much closer to life coaching.
Yeah.
So I had like an extra fallback of someone who was seeing me more holistically, which I felt was really valuable for me.
Totally.
Recognizing that I didn't want to shut off my empathetic artist self while also being the strong business person, which frankly was the foundation of where I came to with creating The Centered Creator, was trying to balance those two things and figure out how to still be me and still be an artist and still be create and not shut down again to get things done. But having the specific mastermind group around this particular topic, that was kind of new. And I really appreciated the different perspectives that it gave me, and people from all over the country sharing what their markets were like and challenges that they had or their experiences. Just, yeah, it was awesome.
And I think it's such a mindset hack. I think, again, so many people out here have so many great ideas and so many thoughts on how they can contribute to the world, change the world, whatever it might look like. And we all think that we have to do it alone. And we all think there's no blueprint. And I think
there's often isn't a blueprint, but it's building the confidence and the support and circle around yourself to be like, I will blaze my own blueprint, but I need to brainstorm. That's my favorite word now.
Right. But also social media is so powerful now with being able to see people and be like, oh, I want what you have. And now like this, I think coaching from this perspective, this really specialized knowledge, I'm going to call it, I think, came probably in the last 5 to 10 years, really popular. But I think what an amazing thing, because again, if you're somebody who has an idea, it's like, we always resort our brain to, we have to go to college, we have to go to get education, we have to go get more degrees.
Yeah.
And I think this just opened up such a great way to be like, wait, no, I can pay for specialized knowledge that's going to give me very clear results in return.
Exactly. Clear results in return on a specific pack that's relevant to me. And I don't have to figure out how do I make this relevant for my life or what I'm trying to do. And I was sitting there like, a lot of people don't recognize that what they might be doing is masterminding or brainstorming or working in community or having that kind of coaching. Like, I'm also in a writer's lab right now. That's literally what we do. We present our ideas to each other. We get feedback. We brainstorm ideas. We're like, how about this? How about that? Maybe this. And I realized, because of that mastermind that we did together, that is exactly what I need to keep leveling up.
Yes.
For myself. That's how I keep reaching for the next level.
Absolutely. And now that like my day-to-day is centered around coaching and bringing people into these types of communities, I always just want to like shake people that I'm talking to. Oh my God, I want to shake them when they're on the fence of like, well, I want to join this, but it's a big investment, or I don't have the time, and I'm like, girl, like these are just excuses, and you're just avoiding the work that needs to be done. And it's like, you can't shake that into anybody, of course, but like,
no, but it's a really great gauge of if you're ready to commit or not, because the same financial commitment that you put forth, like there's a whole psychological aspect to sales, and I'm not going to get into that, but the reason that coaching and those prices for that kind of thing is so high, or it feels high, is because it requires you to take action. Correct. If it was $100, it'd be like a gym membership that you never go and take advantage of. It forces you to take action. And especially when a program gives you success stories, because I did my research there as well, of seeing like, okay, so what are people succeeding at this? Who is doing it? Because I don't have problems anymore. I don't have problems motivating myself when I know that it's possible. When I see that someone else does it, I can say, I can do that too, because I believe in myself. Yeah. I know that I'm smart. I know that I can figure this out, especially if I am given the right tools. Right. Then that commitment feels like, well, that's an easy no-brainer now, because I'll make that back. And
but you made you said something really critical. I just want to like emphasize for a second. You had the belief in yourself. Yeah. Most of the time when the people are on the fence of doing anything, it's not the price of it's not the information they're going to get. Yeah. It's that belief in yourself. Yeah. And I think for anyone who is on the fence about just diving into something and trying something new, it's like, you really have to understand that it is that belief in yourself that you need to just decide that you have.
Yeah.
Whether you actually believe it or not, like if you even have the inkling of like, I
Fake
believe
it
in myself,
until you make it.
fake it
is
until
totally
you
a
make
thing.
it. And I kind of want to talk about that too,
yeah.
because I know for me, stepping into this business, I think I fake it until I make
totally
it.
faked it until I made it. I hopefully they will never listen to this podcast. I had one of our mastermind people fake that they were a satisfied customer that I had worked with before in order to get a yes.
I was like, wait, you
Yeah.
got like scammed going into
No. I was trying to get a yes. And so I had someone pretend that they were like that the owner could talk to who that I had worked with before. And they said yes. And I will say it worked out beautifully because he's been one of the best owners that I've worked with. He's super communicative because I knew that I would be able to live up to whatever promise I offered. And I like to think, and I have like the written proof in his emails that I have. So,
but also that's an advantage with, again, investing in a coaching in a community, because you can leverage, you can say, I'm a part of this team that, we have this many properties, or the collective knowledge, like our collective group has this much experience. Like it really is such a hack to just starting a business or doing something new, because again, you're really not alone, but now you get to leverage other people's experience and knowledge. And so
that's exactly what I did.
Felt a little like sketchy and weird, but I think that's actually completely makes sense. You're not
at the time, and I was a little worried and nervous at the time, but I got the yes, and I proved myself after.
Yes.
So again, coming back to that theme, like jumping in and learning the how.
Just learning, just saying, like, I'm going to do it.
I'm going to do it, and I will figure out how.
So let's talk about that. Okay. So we both said yes. We were like, we're going to start this thing. It's going to be passive. We're going to be rolling in the dough.
Oh boy.
And we had and like, I love this. I love that we're going to keep going back to our parallel journey here. But like I think both had very different starts. So let's talk about your start first. So you said yes, you dove in. And what did that look like for you?
Quick sketch, that looked like joining like the program, the mastermind we did, I think in June-ish, somewhere June, July.
Yep.
And then all of July, June and July into August were me like going on the mad dash around Los Angeles County to get the yeses. And then I got 2 yeses in 1 month.
Yeah.
Which ended up like, sure, I can do this. Let me cry, but I can do it. I was just I was so motivated that I overcame like anything that happened. And so I was able to delay the one yes, by saying, can I sign like in 2 weeks? And they're like, yeah, sure, that's fine, which was great because I had one property that I was ready to open up. It was finally turnkey. And I was in the middle of setting up the second yes, when I turned around, and the very first tour I was ready to give for a displaced family. The day before I was going to give the tour, I was stopping by and realizing that the ceiling had caved in. And by that, I don't mean structurally. I mean, all of the insulation had fallen from the ceiling and there was water everywhere on the property, on the floor.
And now just to pause for a beat, when she says setting up this property, you took a completely empty house, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 1,400 square feet, 16, whatever, let's call it. And you completely furnished it.
Yes.
You put all new rugs.
I put rugs, couches, glassware, kitchen, everything in the kitchen. Basically, imagine everything that you kind of need to have in your house. It was turnkey, ready to go. You could come in with the clothes on your back and be able to take a shower, sit down and enjoy all of the utilities, internet, everything. You were ready to go. And yes, I walked in and I had this brief panic moment where I'm like, I don't even know what to do. And I think in my, I don't know what to do, I literally got the mop out of the closet. And I was just trying to do something until like a minute later, I was like, Stephanie, this is not going to handle the problem.
Right. This is great.
And I immediately got into the mastermind group and said like, guys, several curses. What do I do? I don't even know. And like, they were able to at least calm me down and be like, okay, I know now what I need to do is talk to the owner, get to this, file an insurance claim and all the things. And the water line had gone from the garage, where the water heater was, through the attic into the kitchen.
Oh, wow.
And there was a pinprick hole in the water line. So it had been gathering until it finally burst. And so that took them a month or so or 2 months to like clean up. They did like whole new floors and they ended up renovating the property. So it ended up even being a better deal.
I know, right?
So it like looked even better because they were like, well, we're already doing it. Let's go ahead and
do
change
it.
out the
Right.
counters and like do this and replace this. And so it ended up being a better property.
Great.
And they refunded me like all of the money. That was a better business decision for them, definitely on their side.
Right.
But they also offered me first rights of coming back. So I was like, sure. And my insurance claim covered it because it was very clear what had happened. And in the meantime, I was setting up the other property and I got a third yes in between. And that was my first, I'm going to say 4 months of the business.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, I remember, I think I joined like either a week or two or a month at
before.
most. Like there was,
yeah.
So I think I had just gotten my first property when you were like coming in, and all of a sudden I remember it was just like 0, and all of a sudden you had 3, and then 1 was falling apart, and there was an insurance claim, and I was just like sitting there with my 1, and I was like, damn. I'm gonna just chill for a minute.
Let this play out.
For me, I think I had like a 4-month, maybe more than 4 months, but I think I had like a huge panic attack after getting that first property of just like, what did I do? I really don't feel ready. I really wasn't the person who was ready to take on a business mentally, but I was like, well, I have this thing. Let me just sit on it, see how it goes. And so I actually didn't even get my second property until over a year of being in operation. And so again, we had just totally parallel lives, but like you were
learning other things as well that I was learning from in your experience as well.
Sure. Of course. But I mean, you just had a chaotic start to your business, as I think anyone does when they start a business, you know, but like so many things that even if you had read all the books, listened to all the, there was nothing that could prepare you for that.
In any venture that's new to you, something is inevitably going to go wrong.
Yeah.
And if you can accept that and say, this is not something going wrong, this is going to educate me. And one of the big things that I learned, and again, comes back to where I am as an artist and what I'm doing now with Centered Creator, is learning to regulate yourself, learning to be able to regulate your own nervous system so that when things inevitably go wrong, you are able to step back and deal with it and handle it and be like, okay, this is not the end of the world.
Right.
That challenged me to be able to do that because I was wildly swinging because it was a very crazy time. And I was I threw myself into the deep end of doing this. And now looking back at it, I can't believe that I went from like 0 to 3 properties within like a 3-month period.
Right.
But I really took on that scale up, scale fast mentality that we were kind of taught. And I was already looking for that 4th at some point, and I let it go longer and longer. And there was something that had me hesitating. And now I'm so grateful that I never took on a 4th. I was wildly swinging between like the crazy panic, oh my God, my phone is buzzing. Like, what's wrong now?
Yeah.
And I didn't like what that was doing to me.
Totally. And I was going to say, like, again, you and I think became really close really quick because we were proximity close, right? Out of everyone in our mastermind who was nationwide, we were at, again, similar journeys, even though you were 3Xing what I was doing, we were still doing the same things. But I remember you really, because I was in hospitality, I've dealt with property management, I've dealt with hotels. So for me, it was like, yes, now it was all on my own. I was the boss. It was scary financially, whatever.
Scary.
It's on me. I don't have the company backing. But I think mentally I was a little bit more there with how to handle things because just my background. My background was always on fire.
I would agree with that.
But I remember you struggling a lot with that. Like when things happened, it was like you said, the end of the world,
because I've never had that kind of price tag
right.
associated with failure before.
Right.
That was like 5 figures. I have student loans. That was like the biggest figure, but it almost wasn't even a figure in my head. But I'd never had that kind of money attached to failure before. Yeah, it forced me to confront a lot of my issues around money and my own, like, how to regulate myself among all that. And realizing that the passive part of the passive income that I was looking for was like non-existent.
Yeah, no.
It did not exist
We took on a very active form
job
of real estate.
It is a very active type of job.
But I think like also to be so real and transparent, yes, again, there are 100% passive things. And I'm loving what I'm learning finally in real estate. That's truly passive. But I think anyone who's starting a business, like, if you really just think you're going to sit back and do nothing in a way,
there's something wrong with the process, or there's something wrong that you're missing.
Correct.
Or it's usually just too good to be true.
It's going to be active. It's going to be a fight. It's going to be a journey.
And in some ways it should be.
And it should be.
Because you are doing something you've never done before. You're challenging yourself to grow.
Yeah.
And you can't do that without the growing pains.
100%.
Those growing pains were pretty darn painful, but I love where I'm at now. So I can't really regret it. I don't, even the wild swinging emotions that I was having during that summer and afterward, I don't regret it because it pushed me to grow.
Yeah. Let's talk about the growing pains a little bit.
Okay.
Tell us about some of yours. And again, we talked about a lot like nervous regulation and understanding how to regulate yourself and calm yourself down. So walk us through some of those funny moments of just the chaos and then how you started to learn to regulate yourself.
Trying to think of maybe an example that wasn't the ceiling caving in.
Pretty good example to start with.
Which is a great example to start with. Being at one of my properties, there was a pest issue. And I had someone scheduled to come out. And at the same time, I was going to visit the property to do a property check, I think. And my car wouldn't start. And they literally needed me to vacate the property. And I couldn't be there because they were of the type of chemical work they were doing. And I was like, I literally cannot move my car out of this. I don't know where to go. And I remember like that was one of the first times that I started applying what I was learning about like being able to breathe and being able to recognize what was happening in my body. One of the things that I talk now a lot about is noticing what's happening with myself and then allowing myself the freedom to feel that and then choosing how I wanted to move forward. Those are usually like the 3-step process that I now kind of work with and being like, okay, I am not happy. I am pissed off. I'm upset. I'm frustrated. After a point, I was like recognizing, like it took longer than I would like, but every time I did it, it was getting shorter. And the guy who was running the pest control was so kind and so nice. And that was also another reason that I can be like, okay, he's not freaked out. I don't need to be freaked out. What problem am I really freaking out about right now? What? More financially was Mary, who had been staying in the property for quite some time as a direct booking for an insurance company. She was displaced from her home and so was looking for something in the area. And things are going swimmingly. She's a very interesting character, but no issues, very kind. And then somewhere around like 4 or 5 months into her stay, the insurance company lets me know that they're no longer paying for her to stay.
Right.
And that it was a different issue. And that I have to go Google and look up what the issue is because they gave me some terminology I was not familiar with. And as it turned out, what it meant was that the family was not keeping up their copays to the insurance company. So the family was still on the hook to pay rent. And this situation blew up into so many things. And what it really came down to was just lack of priorities on her side, in my opinion, and communication. Yeah. But it was just this overarching ache that was just like a heavy weight that was living on my shoulders of like, I need someone to pay rent on this property.
Correct.
I can't do this myself. Like this is like a whole month of rent. Either you're paying it or you pay up with your insurance so that they pay it.
Right.
But I don't know what's happening here. All I know is you gotta pay to stay. And like that at one point she was in Spain and I'm like, your priorities are very interesting. I don't agree with them. Why are you in Spain when you're supposed to be paying rent on this property, but you're still staying there? And it got to the point where I was like nervous to pick up my phone. And I was like, what next fresh problem am I going to have to deal with? I was on shift at the bar.
Well, sure. Yeah.
I was working a bar shift on a Friday night.
She's like, I remember this. Like,
yes,
I really do feel like I'm like, I remember this. I remember the text I got.
I remember this. Like, so this happened. I got a text message from a guest at one point saying that all the bathrooms in the shower were backed up and were overflowing with water. They were amazing guests who are keeping me informed. I have been blessed with so many great guests with great communication, and they're all just real people who just want somewhere to stay. So they were like, we've found where the water shutoff is. So we turned it off, but we're using some towels to like, but it's really smelly and it's this and it's that. And I'm in the middle of my shift and I'm telling my manager, I have to go deal with something. Like I have a responsibility to the bar to do my job that they pay me for. And that provides my health insurance and stuff. And I'm trying to get on the phone between two and I'm trying to find who services this area because it's already like at least 45 minutes away from where I am. I can't go out there that night.
And you shouldn't.
I shouldn't.
You don't know about that.
But I needed to be able to know who was able to respond in that area. And I'm like calling down the list and like doing Yelp searches and Google reviews and figuring out who's available and then getting like a yes or two and who's actually going to send someone out right then and who can go and figure this out now. So at least I know what's going on. Mm-hmm. And then keep them in the loop with the owner and then getting somebody there and then figuring out that the water main burst in the house. And they couldn't actually just cable it. They needed to jet it. And then they needed to do a whole thing. And then I actually ended up putting the plumber in touch with the owner so that they could coordinate because this was obviously above my pay grade. And then they're like, we're going to have to do this for tomorrow. Like tonight, we can't fix it based on what we've tried tonight. And the guests were so great. They were like, it's fine. If he's coming back tomorrow morning at like 7 a.m., we can survive the night. Be
okay. Yeah.
Which was great and amazing. But it meant that like my whole shift was fucked. My day, my evening was like, I was so razzled, so stressed, trying to handle 2 jobs at once. And it's not like I was in an office job where I could duck out and like hide. Right. I was doing that. But my whole job was to be in front of people as a host.
Right.
And like serve drinks and have them be a good time and basically be a dinner party host is what a bartending job is.
Right.
And side of therapy. My manager was really nice. He was the easygoing one who would kind of let me do what I needed to do. But I was aware that this could not happen again.
Totally.
And so those are some of the major challenges that I have happening that was just kind of like made me dread picking up my phone and figuring out what message I was getting next.
Which is so taxing physically, mentally, emotionally. And I think, especially a side hustle, people really...
You think it's a side hustle.
really underplay the side hustle, especially because, again, when your side hustle is a legitimate business that you are responsible for, you are running. It's not the...
This was a whole new level of like taxes for me.
Sure,
like this was like,
I'd
never done anything like this before.
You got served a completely new school of life.
Yes. Yes.
And you really... didn't have an easy route. Like, no. I don't think anyone has an easy route. I don't think that exists. No. But again, like for myself, I was dealing with a lot less volume. So I felt like things felt a little bit more easeful. And, when things were bad, it felt really bad, like to what you said. But I felt like left and right. I'm like, why is this girl getting hit with just everything?
I've thought about that myself. And there are several times and a lot of reflections since, and maybe this is a bit too woo-woo for some people, but I believe in it. And I do feel that there's a whole bunch of energetic and neuroscience that validates it.
1,000%.
I asked the universe for the advanced course. That's why.
100%.
I knew that I wanted to use this job as the gateway to get out of the W-2 thrival job. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, that's what you want? Okay, then. Buckle up, baby.
Right. Yeah.
We're going to take the high road and it's going to have some bumpy rides on it.
It's so true.
And that's kind of why I feel like I got maybe more than my fair share because we were compacting the timeline quite a bit.
Absolutely. Like we are approaching almost our 3-year anniversary of starting these businesses. And I will obviously transition into the fun, exciting things with that.
The
news. But, I am at the point where it was like a property per year. Right now I have 3 properties and it's been 3 years and it's been a slow and steady growth. And yours was literally 3 properties, 3 months. Now sitting on 3 years, right, to stabilize and learn and go through the challenges. But that is so right. It's like you really did get what you asked for.
Yeah.
And again, you probably felt and looked very different than you imagined.
Inside of it was a tornado.
But that's
it's a hurricane.
But that's how it is. I feel like I love this little phrase that I've heard where it's like you asked the universe for a cake and it handed you, flour and eggs and whatever. And it's like, it's really up to you to go and make that cake. It's not just going to hand you the cake that you thought you asked for. It handed you.
And it's certainly not always going to happen exactly in the way that you thought it was going to happen.
100%. And I think you were served that first and foremost.
Yep.
And so about a year ago now, I think it was honestly close to a year ago, which is crazy. You and I would often meet up in person just to kind of like trauma bond and business bond. And it was nice to not feel alone. And again, we were going through really similar things that just other people couldn't understand. I've talked about this before, where it's like, as you get older, as you step into entrepreneurship, like it's not that the friends or the community or the support that you had in place is now inadequate.
No.
But you need different people. You need different energy.
Need more energies and different energies, because there's a like, oh, great, I have gotten what I need. And while I still love you and I want to continue to support you, those old support systems don't necessarily go away, but you need the constant influx of changing energy.
Yeah.
Otherwise you become stagnant.
Exactly. And so I think it was so nice to, again, have you as kind of my first business bestie, where I was like, okay, we can grab brunch, but like the things that we're talking about, the conversations we're having are so unlike any of the conversations I'm having, you know, with my friends. And so I always appreciated when we met up for those things. And I'll never forget, it was about a year ago. I was going through a pretty interesting transition time, and you were now going through an interesting transition time.
Yeah.
You'd been in this, again, we'd both been in this business for, you know, going on 2 years at this point. And that conversation and that day, I remember, just felt very different. Tell us about what was going on for you, and maybe if you remember some of the news you started to drop there.
So I remember, like in the second year, about this time last year, I was still like working as an actor and writing and creating new projects. And by this time last year, I was patiently, not so patiently, waiting for a festival to say yes to my most recent short film, which I felt and still feel is my best work to date. And I was still leveling up as a producer and a creative and a filmmaker. And I was like, there's got to be some give. And I'm like, I'm thinking I'm going to sell. I'm not sure how, but I'm feeling like I need to move away from this. I think it was almost just 1 year in that I was just like, is this what it is? Is this what my life is going to look like? I'm not sure I can handle that. And I think it was a coach conversation where she just floated the idea of just to make yourself feel better, or just as a mental exercise, what would it look like, or put a number on maybe letting go of the business. And I was like, oh, you mean I don't have to be married to this for life? I can get a divorce. I haven't committed my lifelong journey. And that idea kind of stuck with me, and it allowed me to calm myself down to be able to be like, okay, I can keep going. I can keep doing this as long as I know that this isn't forever. Yeah. It can be for now. And I committed to another year. And by the time I met again with you, I was feeling like, okay, we've come to the point where I feel like I've done what I can. I'm not growing. Yeah. I'm not wanting to even hold on to this. And that summer really just kind of proved it to me. Yeah. Like every sign I got was like, yep, this is time. It's time.
I think it's really cool that you had a coach tell you this, because I think a lot of people, when they start their first business, they think this is it. That's how I felt. I was like, I'm going to be doing this thing forever. This is the business I'm going to be building, you know, for the long term. And so that's why I think for me too, I was like, slow and steady. It's fine, because this is it forever.
Yeah. And this is why it was such a revelatory like comment for her to like, just as a thought exercise. Yeah. Because I had bought into, well, I have this business, so now it's mine. Yeah. And then another thought that had occurred to me during that time is this is literally what they teach you to do in business school. Right. To start a business, scale it, run it, and sell it. That's literally what they teach you to do over and over and over again. And that's actually what entrepreneurship in a way is. Like there's nothing wrong with starting a business and letting it be your life. Right. Absolutely. Especially if you believe in it and you grow it and it continues to change and evolve in itself as an entity. But I think what a lot of people maybe mistake is that they are tied to it for life, when the cycle of entrepreneurship, as I'm coming to understand it, is really there's a life cycle. Yeah. And now, can grow on and live in someone else's.
And I remember the mastermind that we joined, that and part of that man's story was this was his like 13th or 14th business that he had started. Yeah. And he talked very candidly about the things he tried and failed. As he phrased it, right? And I think that's very true for everyone. Like it's not always going to be the first idea that's the home run. Yeah. Or to what you're saying, it's like on the other side, you may be able to build something that is a great product or service or whatever it is, and then be able to sell it. But I think so many people put that pressure, like you said, it's like, it's a marriage. It's like, I can't get a divorce from this. I can't walk away from it. I grew up Catholic.
I'm recovering. But it's like, oh my God, it's for life. You can't get divorced. Right. Is that really true?
Yeah, those seeds were planted in your head.
They were. And that seed took a while to come to fruition. But by the time I was meeting with you about this time last year, I was like, I feel like that seed has sprouted. And now I'm just looking at the shape of what that might look like. And then everything that happened the rest of that summer just kind of solidified that, it was time to sell. And what does that look like? I have no idea what selling a business looks like. I knew nothing. I didn't even know how to evaluate or valuate my business to understand what reasonable price I could get for it.
Yeah. Well, and think back to Stephanie a couple of years before that, right? Stephanie didn't even know that she could sell a business. Christina didn't know that that was even a possible thing. Like it was just, again, such a new learning curve within the entrepreneurship journey.
Yeah. And then same thing. I didn't know how to sell a business, but I knew that it was the right decision. So let's figure it out. So I started sending a couple of emails to people that I was already working with, my bookkeeper, my tax preparer, and my tax strategist, and a couple other people, and just being like, I don't know, I'm thinking this is the right thing, but I'm just gathering information. And another thing that's really occurred to me, especially in this entrepreneur journey, has been the value of open and honest communication. Like I knew that it had been harped on, like I feel like I'm hearing it on repeat in society for like years and decades, but one big, massive lesson that I took away from it was just being like, be open and honest about where you're at right now. People are usually more willing to help than you think. And now then you don't have to lie or front later. It's just so much easier.
Right.
Sidetrack. I don't know. I am now, thank you, universe. I am now open to figuring out the right path for this now. Like we thank you for the advanced course. I'm ready to jump away and like figure out the next phase and get rid of this. And here we are now.
Yeah. And I remember when you first told some other people you wanted to get rid of the business and you were met with resistance.
A lot,
talk about
actually. That. So when I met with some people about, I want to sell the business, I had a conversation with a wonderful person who has since gone on to be a very important person in the history of this business. And he was like, but it's such a good moneymaker. I can see the reports and I can see your financial statements and I've seen your year-to-book dates. This is a good cash flow business. If you hang on to it for like another couple of years, this would be amazing for your portfolio. And this, hearing that from him is like, would you rather, maybe you could just take on a business partner, or maybe you can delegate more, or maybe there's a partnership you can work out of somebody else who wants to grow and you can sell them a portion and you can still have this involvement and keep them. They were trying to find every type of reality for me to stay involved because they saw the financial benefit long-term of what it would be. I nearly was in tears. Like having that, like someone basically say, no, don't do that. Really like physically had me shutting down and feeling like, oh my God, somebody is telling me I have to keep this thing. I can't get divorced.
Right.
And that's what it emotionally felt like. And it felt like I was crying tears of frustration of like, And in the end, it was my decision. So I had a reaction. And I'm also a person that needs to marinate on an idea or a decision for some time, not necessarily forever. And sometimes it is a hell yes. But I needed some time to think about it. And then I came back and was like, no, this is still the decision for me. Because I know if I still have any kind of responsibility to that, if my name is still associated with it, if I'm still even like 10%, 25% partnered, I will still feel responsible. I will still have that emotional tie of knowing that, oh, there's a problem. I got to go fix it.
Right.
I know myself well enough in a way that other people did not. And I had to trust that it was the right decision for me to be able to walk away completely and be like, I see what you're saying, but this is not where my goal is in life. I don't see, it was just the right decision for me for so many more reasons than I can say. But I did have that reaction of several people who were just like, but why? But no. And then the really strong reaction who came from a really good place of, I want to see you succeed. And this is financially viable. And it came from a really good place.
Right.
But it hurt so much because I knew myself better. Totally. And I had to be able to step back and own that I did know myself better. And the right decision for me was not necessarily the one that logic or reason or financial spreadsheets would say it was.
I think that's so incredible because again, you had built something successful. It's not that you were, your hands were tied. It was a sinking ship and you were being emotional about holding on to it. It was quite the opposite.
It was the other way around,
it
actually.
Was a gold mine train, whatever. I don't know what the expression is, but it was
successful.
great.
It was doing really well.
On paper.
All the paper things were telling me it was great. Part of it was that on paper, it looked really good. And the practicals were that I still hadn't quite finished paying down the capital debt yet. I was this close. And they were like, why are you trying to sell when you're like right there? But emotionally, it was just not the right thing for me.
And I think that's why it's such a true lesson where it's like you define success and what that means.
Oh, yes.
Nobody can define that for you. And success does not necessarily mean the financial, right? Oh, she's driving now. Not that this is your case, but it's like, oh, she's driving a fancy car. She must be so successful. She has this huge house. She must be so successful. But success is what's happening inside. Here and in here.
100%.
And I think that's just so incredible that you were able to look at that and say, yes, I have all this external validation telling me what success is and isn't, but like, I actually know what it is for me.
For me.
And you let that intuition and trust guide you.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say that's one of the biggest journeys I had with all of that was learning to own myself and my energy and my spirit and just who I am and understand more of myself on a deeper nervous system level. And that has spread across so many different areas of my life. But the term alignment is used a lot, but it is incredibly fitting. April was that month of I'm traveling, but I'm also doing the business. And then by May, I had made the mental decision. I was like, okay, I really am ready to sell. Let me figure out what that is. And then that decision got delayed because I then booked a really amazing acting job, which only further cemented that I needed to let go of the job. Right. And I have so many more examples of the challenges of balancing all that. Part of me really thinks that it was because I was in alignment with, I know that I want to dive more into the creative. And because I know that's where I want to be, then letting go of this business completely and totally is the right decision. Mentally, I made the decision. This is when I talked to the person who advised me not to and said, no, I'm selling. And then like 2 weeks later, I booked that job. And I really think that those are obviously related to me.
Absolutely.
They're
not
absolutely
a coincidence
related.
at all.
They're not at all. And then that was basically my whole summer into July, I think. And then by August, I was like getting the whole everything together.
Well, and I think it's so
the process anyway.
Interesting too, because this was happening in 2025, which was the year of the snake.
Yeah.
And so
shedding the skin.
Everyone talks about, right? Like that first half of the year is really shedding of the skin, and the whole year, right, is shedding of that skin, letting go. It's no longer serving. And I feel like once again, you and I were in a parallel universe because I was starting to kind of feel the same. Again, I think I've always been like one step behind you. You've been 1 or 2 steps ahead in the sense of the realization.
Maybe.
And again, obviously the scaling was one thing, but like you were like, no, I'm ready. And I was starting to feel like, I think there's something different. And I remember I had just, right before we had met, I had gone to our annual conference that our industry holds. And, the first year you and I went together and it was exciting.
It was exciting and new and bold. We're meeting all these people and we're like, I am here as a business person with my own business
lady.
Like, oh my God, I have a business credit card. Like this is a new thing for me.
This is a write-off.
This is awesome. That feeling.
And then, I remember that. So year 1, we went together and we felt that energy.
And then I did not go year 2.
You did not go. And I still went. And I had a totally different experience this time around. Because I remember
that from you. Like you were commenting on it. Yeah,
because I was feeling like, okay, I really am ready to leave W2. So this is the business I have. I have to stay married to it. This is my time to go all into it. And so I went to that conference with that mentality, right? I was like, I had just invested in another coaching program for midterm rentals. And I was like, yep, this is my time. I'm going all in. And I remember sitting at that conference, watching people on stage who were wildly successful in this business. They were doing amazing. These 2 badass women. And I was like, God, I'm so proud of them. I don't want anything. I don't want anything that they have.
Yeah.
And that actually was the worst feeling ever.
Yeah.
Feeling like, shoot, I have this business, but I feel like it's a dead end. I have no idea what to do.
I remember that feeling and just being like, wow, if I really cared and was totally 100% in, there's so many ways. Like I can brainstorm.
Yeah.
right now so many ways to grow the business,
Grow
to
it.
dive in,
Absolutely.
to research there. This is where I can grow. That's what I can do. And I had no interest in any of it. And that was like a huge red flag.
And that stinks.
Yeah, it feels really horrible.
It feels horrible to be like, I have this thing.
I have it and it's successful. And I'm done.
Want it.
And I don't want it anymore.
And so I remember when we came into that conversation, I was like, wow, I can't believe we're both feeling this way. She's clearly like really on it. I was still like, I don't know.
I think it's because you didn't have at the time a really alternate path.
Yes.
To get where you were thinking you would go, or having 100%. Like, this is the other thing I'm after.
Yeah.
And I had a really clear idea.
You had a really
like,
clear.
I always knew I wanted to like build that acting career, build out that producer resume, and just, get more of my artistic work out there.
Totally.
And so I always had that as like the main driving all the side businesses. And I feel like you were still in discovery phase of what was really like, what lights my fire that that does this in a way that, my business isn't doing anymore.
What is the thing that I actually want to grow old with and actually get married to? And I think the rumblings were starting to happen, and I had already thought about the podcast and I had already thought about this whole new journey, but it just wasn't there yet.
Yeah. It takes time to germinate an idea. Like it needs to be a seed that's planted. And like the seed didn't grow, grow into something for at least a year. And then the culmination of it didn't actually happen for like almost another year. So,
and it's crazy. Yeah. Like the planting years and the blooming years and the planting years and the blooming years. And they mix together.
So long when you're in it and you're so impatient for things to move faster than they do. And that has been one of my really growth challenges, is trusting in the timing of things.
Trusting in the timing of things. And so it came full circle.
It did.
You officially sold your first business, which I did. I hope everyone's clapping right now. That is crazy. And you sold it successfully.
Yeah.
You freaking did it.
And I got I was so impressed, first of all, by the price that I was quoted for, like, you can definitely sell it for this much. And I was like,
what?
Okay.
I remember when you told me
that was a little more than I was expecting, but
my jaw hit the floor.
Decent. Because I had done a little bit of research and asked another couple of people who were like, well, yours is an arbitrage business, so you don't have the property itself to be able to evaluate. So I'm not sure what kind of numbers. Here's how I might think about it. And that seemed reasonable and conservative, but it was like half of the number that I eventually got from someone who knew a little bit more of what they were doing and were able to research more of what they were doing because they had so many business contacts, and that I actually ended up getting it for that price. It is seller financed, which again, I had another mental bump of being like one lump sum versus seller financing, that I wonderfully give myself so many props for riding that mental wave of emotional regulation and be like, no, actually, this is the better plan. And that happened in the middle of so many growth things. Like, we're talking about the snake verse into the fire horse season. The last 3 months have been crazy.
Totally.
Of many things culminating all at once. It's many years of work culminating at once. But I was had taken a big yes for myself and asked the universe for something. And it said yes in many ways that led to another yes, that led to another yes. And I was following the path. Absolutely. And I ended up in Berlin on a business trip as a filmmaker. I was going to the European film market in February. And of course, as feels very apropos of the alignment that I was I'm making the decision to sell the business. Oh, here's this acting job. And I'm coming back full circle of let me be on this massive business trip. That's me leveling up in a way I never have as a producer and a filmmaker, and surrounding myself with so much creativity and possibility for the future. And that was when my legal team and the buyer and I were all culminating, and we ended up closing this deal while I was in Berlin. 9-hour time difference between my legal team, 6-hour time difference with the buyer. And it was, a little crazy, but that fit the story of the advanced track.
No, 100%. And it's just again, it goes to show you really the things that you speak, the things that you think, everything has an effect, whether it's good or bad, right?
Yeah.
If you're speaking bad, it's probably going to be bad.
Exactly.
But you started to speak good and you started to speak clear.
There are times when I felt so awkward in a conversation because like, wait a minute, I have to pause and change my words. This is what I want to say.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be more, I mean, I've always been someone who needed to be articulate and correct. And like, I want to express myself correctly, but I also needed to, flipping that to being like, now I want to make sure that I'm speaking more positivity and more affirmatively and more what I want to see in the world and how I want to show up in the world.
Right.
Like actively doing that.
Yeah.
And I absolutely agree with you. What your mindset and what you think. You don't have to believe everything that you think, good or bad. You can choose which ones you are thinking.
Totally.
But you can choose which ones you're thinking.
Right.
So why not choose better thoughts?
Right.
Because they are the ones that are coming to reality. And there are still things and that I'm manifesting. There are still dreams and goals that I have that I'm still like, I don't know how to do this. And I don't even know if it's going to happen. But I am 100% on believing that it is possible. And this whole phase that I'm in now, which is a whole mind-blowing experience, is about discovery. Is really about that discovery.
And how cool is that to be able to have gotten the privilege to just go on this journey?
Yeah.
You know, like I remember when we met, your goal was you started this business. The reason you scaled in the 3 months was because you wanted to leave your job in 6 months.
Yeah.
Which didn't happen.
Obviously not.
But you know what? Like we said, you asked the universe, like, let this be the thing that lets me leave my job.
Yeah.
And it served it in a completely different way.
It did.
But guess what?
But it happened.
It was the thing that let you leave your job.
It was the thing.
2 years later.
2 years later, like my version of the time frame and the universe's version of the time frame were obviously not the same. But that's the thing that this has taught me. One of the many things it's taught me is you put a timeline on things, not because you want to challenge the universe. You can, but more so to motivate yourself.
Of course.
Like I told myself 6 months because that was reasonable for me to put in the kind of effort I was making that first summer.
Yes.
And I did not have to make that kind of effort after that first 6 months.
Right.
It was still definitely not passive. It was still very active. And again, so many stories. But it definitely felt like, okay, that was the first 6 months of massive effort.
Totally.
And then I can just be sustainable and try to figure out. And there's so many other lessons to learn and figure those things out. But yeah, realizing once I got into the journey of, and it's still hitting me in different modes, like it comes over me in waves still, because it's still new, that when I mentally said I'm selling it, and when the process was like, I have a buyer, and then that took some time as well and caused more anxiety, but I was still trusting. And then things were financially interesting and like, okay, we have to refinance or figure out a different plan. And then, okay, and balancing so many things. But being able to let go of that was just, oh, it accomplished the thing that I wanted, which was to leave the W-2 job so that I could be more artistic and creative. And not only was I able to resign from that job, it went a step further and allowed me to fund a little runway where I can be in a discovery period. So not only did the universe take my desire, it took a little bit longer, but it gave me even more than I was asking for, and probably what was underneath that ask, which was time and freedom and enough security to feel like I can go deep on writing more and getting my TV pilot done, and now working on a feature and like packaging that for feature film, and then writing another project, and then producing this, and that I can do all those things now and work on a new podcast and just build all those things.
Build a new business that feels that
feels so much more aligned than I ever have been in my life, I think.
I'm so proud of you.
I'm proud of me, honestly. And that feels really like self-congratulatory to say, but I've done a lot of work and I've learned a lot through it. And one of the things that has been interesting just in these last couple of weeks, because it's really only been a couple of weeks since I returned back from Berlin and this all sunk in, has been like sharing this freedom and joy that I have about this path with people who are not there yet. And it's been a bit interesting. It's a little bit of maybe guilt about like, I'm sorry that I did what I set out to do, or I'm sorry that I succeeded. It feels weird. It feels like I am trying to impress people with where I'm at right now. And that's obviously not my vibe and who I am.
Mm.
But again, I was talking with my coach because yes, I'm still in coaching.
As you should be.
As I should be. And something she said recently just stuck with me. It was like, you can't make your success small enough that other people will suddenly be more successful.
Totally.
You can't make yourself less financially secure so that other people can be more secure. That's not how it works.
No.
You can't make less of yourself so that other people grow more.
No.
What you can do is lift people up. So the opposite is not true. Like the opposite of that is not true. You can lift other people up.
You've now built this version of success, and you're going to be a great person because you are going to inspire others. You are all about bringing people with you, which is firmly what I believe,
what I want
too.
to be. I don't want to be like, because there's a tendency for all these. I know there's a tendency for people who are people pleasers or people who want to help other people who are empathetic. That, I should hide and be smaller and like, oh no, yeah, okay, yeah, I did this.
Yeah,
thing.
it's okay.
It's okay.
No, I just a girl.
I just sold a business. It's fine. It's like, no, I did this.
Yes.
And that means that you can do this too. I'm not a coach. I call myself more of a guide.
Yeah.
And than anything. And I would love to do that. But it's playing small. It's like in the acting terminology. Playing small does not get you anywhere.
Yeah.
Not
absolutely.
Really.
Not at all. And again, just being proud of yourself is okay. Wanting more is okay.
Is okay.
Wanting to make money or whatever it is, wanting to create is okay.
And wanting just to have like not make money is also okay if you're happy. I mean, I feel like people need to really like dig into what defines success, just as you were saying earlier. What defines success for you? And that's going to be a different answer for a different person at different phases of life.
And if people don't support that, or again, like if you feel like you're in places where you need to make yourself smaller to make other people happy,
you're in the wrong room.
You are in the wrong room. Get out, find places like this where it's like, I don't think you're bragging.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're, no one ever thinks that because it's like, you're doing the things that we all want to do. Or we should be doing.
To the podcasts of people who are like, this person is like doing all the things I want to do. Obviously, I'm like, yeah, I'm not sitting there thinking, oh, she's bragging too much.
Right. Let it motivate and inspire you versus scare and make you feel like.
And now that it's happening to me, I'm wrestling with that too. So it's just very interesting to just like be on a different side of that and still know that there's so many levels that I would like to climb left.
And you know what? You were such a big role model and inspiration for me as I entered 2026. Because again, like I said, I was kind of like 2 steps behind you. I was feeling this way, but you actually let me sit down during like the holiday season as I was wrapping up the year and thinking about 2026 and knowing I really finally found the clarity in where I wanted to start.
I was so excited for you when you told me that you had this podcast. And also, like, I'm just so, I know I said it, but I'm so proud of you for this podcast because again, I can see how aligned it is for you.
Yeah.
And just from a production aspect, I'm like so amazed by like the branding, the color, the schemes, the style, the everything, the value here. Like,
thank you.
As an actual filmmaker, I'm like, well done.
Thank you. So, learning a lot. Yeah. A lot of trials and tribulations. But regardless, you allowed me to sit and give myself permission to say, this isn't it. This business really isn't the thing I want to put my all into. And I have found the thing I want to put my all into. And so now I have been exploring what selling could look like. Mm-hmm. I already let go of part of a piece of my business, which story for other days. You told me that.
And I'm like, I want to hear more about that.
But you know what? I feel aligned. I feel good about
There's
it.
There's a mental exhale that you just have.
There's a mental exhale. And I think so much of me has been sitting in does this come off as failure? Does this come off as quitting?
No.
She didn't do something successful. And it's like, no, I have had my own success in it. It has brought me into incredible rooms I could never dream about.
Like the people you've worked with just in this last year are like ridiculous. I'm so impressed by you and by like how you've managed to like open yourself up to these opportunities. I mean, I know that you're going to talk about this later, so I don't want to like preempt any like stories or anything, but like, I remember you like, I'm going to go to this meeting and we'll see where it goes. And like within like 24 to 48 hours, your life was like, oh, I'm going here. I'm doing this. And I'm like,
getting on a plane tomorrow.
We're going on the journey.
And it's just so cool again that we get to be in this spot together. Mm-hmm. We built these first businesses together. We've been able to motivate, support, guide each other. now you've been able to do this thing that you showed me what's possible. And now we're both stepping into this completely new era of again, putting in the hard work, seeing the fruits of our labors, and now getting to continue to go on this journey to build these lives that we dream about.
Yeah.
And we get to do it together and know that, like, again, it's okay if maybe you're headed this way or I'm headed this way or mentally I was here before. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Because we just continue to complement and pour into each other's cups, right? And keep those cups full versus drain and deplete and whatever. And it's just
absolutely.
It's such a cool experience.
It is. I mean, I surround myself with people who I have real connections with, like soul deep connections. Like everybody that I meet with, usually in person, is a person who fills my cup whenever I talk to them, because I'm not really a small talky person. I'm good at it. I'm really good at it. I've had to be at bartending.
Totally.
But I'm a person that values real conversation. And that's one of the reasons why I love your Real Heart podcast, but also why I know that no matter, like, it's not even like a leapfrog. It's more just like, you're an awesome person who is going on an amazing journey. And the fact that we can lift each other up while we're both on this journey is just like, I don't know. It just means a lot.
Yeah.
It means so much to have like really awesome people that I'm like, no, I surround myself with go-getters and people who are doing stuff.
As I've been sitting down doing these interviews, I'm just like,
I have so many awesome people in my life.
Exactly. I keep saying to everyone, I'm like, it's like, I feel like I'm sitting down with a celebrity, because you really all are that amazing and inspiring and important to me. And to be able to have these real conversations, like I feel like so incredibly lucky to just be sitting in this chair and talking to you today. And again, going on these new ventures together, and now being able to lean on you as I look to sell my business and follow in your footsteps and do the things. It's just,
and now I'm going to follow in your footsteps in a podcast. So
I love it. Great. Like, let's do it, you know? And I know we won't have time to dive into it today, but can you just give us like a sneak peek about where you're heading?
So sneak peek, I am developing a solo podcast right now. My first season. It is kind of a storytelling podcast. So it's more about how to juggle the creative life and running all the side hustles and still stay sane.
Yeah.
Because that's a challenge.
So important.
And mostly about that, emotional regulation and how to regulate your own nervous system, and some really easy tips and tricks and things that I've learned from stories in my life, things that have happened to me. The business will feature in that, and balancing a creative life on set and building things and being in an industry that's constantly judging you and asking you to do more and be more. And it's a wonderful, like, kind of snippet stories and what I've learned from them, and hopefully they can help other people.
Yeah. And I think it's incredible because, again, you're choosing people who choose hard, entrepreneurs, people who choose hard, actors, creatives, right? And you're coming in and saying, this is all fine and good and great, but like, if we're, again, not taking care of ourselves internally,
then
you can't
really expect to. Even what really always threw me was listening to celebrities who still feel imposter syndrome, who still feel that they are not successful.
Right.
And part of me is because they were so busy climbing and doing all the things that they needed to do and having the success, but not being able to recognize in themselves when they were successful.
Right.
That definition of success was always, it's like my coach always says, you're moving the goalposts.
Yes.
You're constantly
wonder
changing
why you don't know
and wondering why you never feel
is.
like you have a win or celebrate when you've done all this crazy stuff that anybody outside would be able to say, this is amazing.
Incredible.
What are you talking about? You're an amazing person who's done all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, but I haven't done this.
Right. About how far you've come versus how far you need to go.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really special that you are diving into a community you love and want to give back to and serve. You're taking what you've learned and now, become an expert in your own right, of the self-regulation and keeping yourself mentally sane while running businesses, while pursuing your dreams. It's incredible.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to get started.
And it's so cool that this first business allowed you to now have this time to go and really do it the way you want to do it.
I'm so grateful for it.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Stephanie, this has been so much fun.
Oh my God.
I knew this was going to be a great episode. I was like, I have no doubt you're an eloquent speaker. You're incredible. You're so, again, vibrant and story energy. But to actually now do it and sit here and I'm like, wow, that was really amazing.
Yeah.
So where can everyone else who I hope enjoyed this episode and also I know finds you amazing, where can we connect with you?
Well, you can find me on my website, stephaniearapian.com, or you can find me on Instagram for either at Stephanie Arapian and our new venture at The Centered Creator.
I love that. What a good name, The Centered Creator.
Yeah, because you can only
TCC.
create from center. That's why.
I love that.
Yeah.
See, intentional,
Very
aligned.
intentional.
Cheers to a good 2026.
We're rocking it already. It's only
Thank
going to
you.
get better from here.
Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you
on
for
the
having me.
podcast. Truly a pleasure. Truly
you.
a pleasure. Another
Love being
celebrity in the book. Well, thank you, girl. I love you. I appreciate you. This was so much fun.
We got to do it again sometime.
Let's go get brunch.
Let's go eat.
Yes. Hey, besties. I want to close out this show by saying thank you for hanging out with me today. I hope you loved this episode as much as I did. If you did, please do me a favor. Hit like, subscribe, and share the episode with a friend. That way we can keep growing this movement and reach even more real her besties. And for your daily dose of laughs, mindset, and behind the scenes chaos, come hang out with me on Instagram at Christina_Fusco. That's Christina with a K _Fusco. All right, my ladies, until next time, keep it real, keep it fun, and keep becoming her. XOXO, your biggest hype woman.